All right. So, our second item on the agenda, since we already did our housekeeping, is automated testing, which is me. So automated testing, we've got the all the testing that Firefox has up and running at this point. We've been fixing issues. It found a lot because old code, old screens and stuff, but we're trying to make our way through and fix those. Magnus has been helping out a lot on that, and I've been reviewing a lot of his patches to make sure that we get it right when we fix it, not just make the tests happy, because those can be two very different things. Um, and I'm still looking into adding some more thorough testing, but I haven't made a lot of progress lately on that one. But this has given us a good starting point to go through and really start fixing at least the stuff that it's flagging already, because there's a lot of it. Anything new that we've worked on is passing. It's a lot of just the old stuff, especially like calendar and a lot of our more complex tree view widgets, getting all the right attributes in all the right places and making sure all the keyboard stuff is working, because it is good at finding those things like mismatches in attributes, mismatches in things being clicked in a test that aren't actually uh, exposed as clickable, a lot of those sort of issues. And so that's been going well. And I don't think I have much else on that right now. And no one from any of the other groups that was talking about any sort of automated testing is here today. So we'll move on to the accessibility statement draft. Kelly, do you have any updates there? I know it's been
So,
out and there's been some comments.
yes, we've gotten comments from a couple of people, mostly internal. I would love to see if we can get some more exposure in the community to get feedback from the folks that it's actually for. Um, and Laurel thankfully went through and did a second draft pass, which took into account all of the information and suggestions from everybody who had commented. Uh, so thank you for that. That currently is down to two sentences and very specific. Um, and I can read it out loud for you if you would like, just in case somebody's listening on the recording. It is
Yeah, that'd be great.
accessibility at Thunderbird. Thunderbird is committed to digital accessibility and inclusion. As an open source project, Thunderbird is shaped by a global community working to make email, communication, and productivity tools accessible so that people with diverse needs and abilities can use them with dignity, independence, and confidence. Which I think touches on all the things that we felt were important from the start of this draft process. Um, and it also is very nicely succinct, which I know Wayne was concerned to make sure that we were doing it in a way that made sense and was succinct.
Mhm.
Um, and Allie definitely brought some interesting perspective to it as well. So thank you, everyone who has participated so far. And hopefully we can get the community to give us some feedback too.
Yeah, as an action item, Kelly, I just put that maybe we'll do another post in the Matrix channel. Is there any other spots where we'll check the comments as well from this video. So if anyone's listening, please comment. Yeah.
Is there a mailing list similar to like TV planning for
Yeah,
accessibility specific to Thunderbird?
no, but we
No,
probably could use the UX topic box post, I think. Wayne, do you have any suggestions?
I would go more broad and post to both UX um and planning.
yeah,
Okay,
planning is pretty general. You'll get the most feedback if you go to that one. That's our most active topic box
prolific.
from what I've seen.
All
Awesome.
right.
Um, Another note just on my
And
edit too, the way that I was trying to craft it so that it wasn't so like it's there's posterity for it, within our community too. So it's not just totally internal facing. That was a particular lens I kind of gave it an edit for. So want to make sure that that statement's, for everyone, including community and contributors. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I would when you publicize it, obviously provide some context. Um, and and maybe maybe point out the obvious that this just isn't for people who with accessibility issues, right? Um, this is for all users, as people tend to think about accessibility issues as um I had the word and I forgot it. Um, challenges.
Well, and a lot of people in their mind really just think screen readers, and that's all they think about. And obviously, it's a much broader issue, just in general. Even amongst the people that have challenges, it's more than just what most people think of it as, and that's one of the things that we definitely want to be aware of and communicate better is that this is for everybody.
Right, broaden the audience. Once somebody posts this, I can also post it to the groups.io um, uh,
Okay,
group, which has a lot of accessibility users.
Yeah.
awesome.
And maybe there's other places where we might want to post it to draw more people in.
Yeah, if there's any place that folks can think of, just add it into the comments here, and depending
If you want,
on, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was gonna say if you want an incredible amount of feedback that may not be Thunderbird specific, we could always post to like WebAIM, and you will get an incredible amount of general feedback on what they think of the statement.
Another spot that we had mentioned in the past too is there's a huge accessibility committee or a huge accessibility community on LinkedIn. So it's
Yeah.
possible that we could
Hmm.
throw it in there a little bit too if we want to broaden a little bit. But maybe, there's probably a gate where it's like, do we want to talk specifically to our community and then do some different types of posts to kind of broaden the audience a
It,
little bit? But
yeah, it
yeah.
might almost be a good idea to get as much feedback as we can with our own community to really tighten it up and be happy with it. And then when we're ready to share it, that's when we post it to places like WebAIM and LinkedIn. Not so much for feedback on it, but for to share it. And we will get feedback. And if there's changes to be made, we can make them. But those are places where it might be better to promote it rather than to try to get feedback on it.
That's more what I was thinking, Alexander, was trying to really hone it in with our community. I feel like it's been a little bit insular thus far. Um, and to try and get more community feedback, I think Wayne's point about being more it's for everyone will be helpful. Uh, but I think that would be the direction to go. And I think sharing it further, far and wide would be once we have the statement at a place where we want to publish it and possibly eventually get it on our website. I don't know how people feel about that as the direction to go. I mean, I think we've got two votes with me and Alexander at this point, but just in terms of the group we have today, do other people feel like that's a good plan or
Think that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
You
I
will
think so
get
too.
too much feedback on the other one, and that will also slow down when we wanna work on our message. So it makes sense to first focus on our community and then like expose it to everyone else. And we will learn when we do that anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we're close
okay.
too, where we can almost get
Mm-hmm.
something up, just
Yeah.
go we'll leave
Mm-hmm.
it open a little bit more. And then maybe by the time we're in our July meeting, we might be like, let's let's put this somewhere, in the
Hmm.
spots that we've talked about. So yeah.
Yeah, and the
That
fact
works.
is, whether you ask for feedback or not, when we post it publicly to those larger forums, there will be feedback. And if we get a lot of feedback, we can always make updates at that point too. It's not like once we publish it, it's written in stone and we can't change it.
You can even change stone.
Work in progress. We'll get more marble.
There you go. Um, cool. Awesome. So from a plan perspective, we will post to planning, we will post to UX, and we will set a timeline for making the determination to be able to move on in July, and then look at getting a page set up on our Thunderbird Net website and kind of go from there. And once we have that, we can share that URL out over LinkedIn and other places that are more broad.
Mhm. All right.
Perfect. That's all I
Let's
have.
see. Sounds good. So the next thing we have down for today is the design contribution repo.
Yeah, so we have a design contribution repo on GitHub now. So the first one, there's a link there in the agenda. Just join if you like. The reason I bring it to this meeting is we have just two issues in there so far. The ones that Casey graciously has done two accessibility audits, both on desktop. One was on search and the other one was on settings. So settings is in there as a closed one. You'll see her absolutely gorgeous and high standard audit in there. And she's just doing a little bit of backtracking on the search one for me because I just had her slide deck. So she's doing all of the exports and summary for that. And then I'll move that into closed as well. You'll see in there, there's a PDF export, and then there's also Google Docs too, so that people can use Screen Reader to access the notes. And then there's a nice spreadsheet export too with her breaking some of the components and things down. Yeah,
Incredible.
so check that out. Yeah, and then I mean, on the other side, outside of accessibility, there'll be more issues being added in there for people to contribute to. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
this is where we'll start to do those types of contributions for accessibility that hopefully will also influence the code places, turn into code issues. So yeah, that's all.
All right.
And
And
Casey's
so that's,
documentation was amazing. If you
yeah,
do talk to
that,
her and are able to pass that on, if not, I'll just do it the next meeting if she's here.
Mhm.
yeah, the detail in those two issues and everything that's in there is really good. Um,
Yeah. The next one, Alexander, I brought in, but it's kind of what you see there. It's a question
okay.
for the group.
Um,
I can,
so the trackpad usage outside of Mac, I use a Mac personally, so I only
yeah,
use the Windows one usually when I'm testing things. Yeah, I don't know that I have much feedback on that until I
yeah.
go in and actually like think about it as I'm doing stuff because
Yeah. And it's so trackpad use, yeah, it's one of those ones that is starting to come up a little bit more. I'm seeing people use it, and we don't really that's one thing that we might want to write some guidelines around too, especially I know for
so
design, like there's certain things we need to consider, and I don't know, development too.
for the most part, that's a system level thing. All the trackpad
Yeah.
interactions are completely out of our control and on the system level. We don't do any sort
Hmm.
of custom gesture stuff. There is
Yeah.
nothing on our side that is true like trackpad integration other than what the OS just does by default for,
Yeah.
zooming, scrolling, those sort of things. So
Yeah.
usage guidelines are going to be hard on that one because it's going to depend on hardware specifics and the operating system they're using and their own settings. It
Yeah.
it's almost, the guideline is almost do what your system supports. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up. I had a note written on it, and I didn't have much more detail that just then like it was a big question mark. It's probably something
Yeah,
that we should consider a little bit in our testing for accessibility when we can. And then there's something like I have to think about this a little bit deeper for certain things that design kind of points out. In this area too, and it's a little bit different per operating system. That's why it's like
yeah.
to ensure that we're covering it appropriately.
For
Is
desktop, it's pretty much scrolling. That's
Mhm.
really all there
Yeah,
is.
there's some issues with trackpad. It's like with scrolling. Yeah. I was starting to read the documentation on it today. So
is there a concern about things that are not Mac, or is it really more
yeah,
general as in any trackpad usage
it was
or
my note
track
was
point, right?
specifically. Yeah, it was specifically for items outside of you of Mac OS. And I think that
Because
when people have those mouses with the ball on them, I can't remember what they're called, but that also comes up as an issue with this
oh,
A
okay.
trackball.
on Windows. A trackball, yeah. That's thank you. Yeah.
Because of like speed, acceleration things, or
I think so. There's a bit of that. Yeah, I'm not,
fine motor
yeah,
skills kind of thing.
all of that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best we could do there is really try to point people to their own system settings because we there is nothing on our side for that.
Hmm.
And we can't really control it because it's all OS level.
Yeah.
The
I think that
acceleration and scrolling and all how all of that works is all at the system level.
yeah, the one thing I know for like my like for the design is that um it kind of points to doing more thorough accessibility passes where you're not like gestures aren't the only path. And that, like to me that kind
Right.
of solves it that there's other entry points that you can get around things if that's a blocker in a
Well,
way.
and some things to think about, I guess, related to that, because this did come up in a bug the other day, is that they're making sure in general that things that are scrollable are accessible. Um, that's mostly handled already by the fact that we build on Firefox
Mhm.
and the standards. But like the thing that came up the other day is there was a comment about a form receiving focus, and the
Mm.
form itself in general would not receive focus, but all scrollable elements are supposed to be able to receive focus, and that's handled automatically. It's not something we do because otherwise there's no keyboard accessible way to scroll the item. And so anything
Yeah,
that overflows, we want to make sure that when it gets to that point that it can receive focus and can be scrolled with a keyboard. That we haven't done anything to break that. That's one thing that kind of comes to mind. It's kind of the opposite of what you were saying, but it's something that we take for granted because with a trackpad or a mouse, you can always grab the bar or do like a two-finger scroll or whatever.
yeah,
But that's not keyboard accessible unless it's, set up properly.
yeah. Yeah. So maybe an ongoing thing, but it's something I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
something to
scrolling
consider.
Have that
accessibility
captured?
might be the more general thing to capture here and making sure
Mm.
that scrollable regions are always
Mm.
accessible.
What about pinch and zoom with it? Like I'm more familiar with that on a mobile
So,
device, but now we have that on laptops and stuff too. So,
right.
and
So, in general, that's a thing that you can do in browsers a lot of the time,
mhm,
but we don't support that at all, any sort of that sort of zooming in desktop because
magnification.
of how the layout works. You can make those sort of adjustments, but it's through text sizing and things like that. It's not through
Mhm.
standard zoom mechanics.
Yeah. So if someone tries to do that on the trackpad, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not going to do
Okay.
anything.
Okay, great. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Cool.
What about touch screens? And this is probably like just like very
Mhm.
out there, very edge case. Because I'm
It's kind of
thinking
the
I only
same.
do like the
Yeah.
thing. I do that on my phone because it's a screen. I wouldn't think about doing it on a trackpad, but like, you know, people would try to do it maybe on another screen. Uh,
So a lot of programs do support that. Like if you use Photoshop and Illustrator. They both support pinch to zoom
Ah.
on the
Yeah.
trackpad.
Yeah. You can even use like you could hook up
Oh.
essentially an iPad too to be like your trackpad for your laptop. So
Hmm.
that's these are the kind of considerations that got me to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
should I also add touch screens to this item?
I would.
Is it all the
I think
same
so.
ball of wax?
yeah, I mean it's really comes down, I think, to gesture related
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
things.
all gesture. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is supported? What should we support? What do we get from the OS? Um, that sort of
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
And making sure that anything that we do intend to be operated in that way is also keyboard accessible.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger note out of all of this. It's like we need to have the thoroughness of all the accessible points to get
Yeah,
into
and
things and move
we're
through
lucky
them.
in that that's generally handled for us automatically. There's tests in
Yeah.
Firefox for it and all that stuff. But there's ways to break that by assigning the wrong attribute. So it's something that we always need to check to make sure it's working correctly.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's both something for dev and design QA to take away from this.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And it's
Great.
something
Thank
that definitely, I think I have to go back and double check my checklist to make sure it's there. But it is definitely something that we should have as a standard thing that we're checking is that scrollable regions can be accessed via the keyboard. It's a good one that isn't one that you think about a lot, but we should.
Yeah. I feel like it'll come up more in the future
Yeah.
as the future roles. Yeah, great. Okay, great. Thank you all.
And let's see. So if no one else has anything on that, community Q&A, we don't really have a lot of community here today.
Oh no, these are sorry, the
Oh
community.
no,
So
sorry, this thing's under here already. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So we get
Yeah.
just like for everybody, if you're on our Matrix channel, if you post a question there, we'll bring that to the committee and we'll answer those questions. Also, if you see the video on either of the sites, YouTube, post a question there and then we'll answer that. So this one that we have here from Spirit of Star, which we could read out, and then Sol has an answer for it. So yeah.
So it says, I am glad to see that Thunderbird's focus on accessibility performance improved a lot. I would like to see Thunderbird Add-on Store and Firefox Add-on Store updated and unified. Current design mismatches a lot.
Right.
And
So for the answer to that, I did sync with our director of operations just because for a while we did have a plan to update it, but we just don't have at the moment the capacity of it, or at the time. Now I know that it is on our roadmap for services. We tentatively have it for like 2026, 2027 services roadmap. However, the part of unifying Thunderbirds and Firefox add-on is not quite an option just because the add-ons that would work for Firefox don't necessarily would work for us. We wouldn't be able to have the same store. So in that sense, that cannot be done. And our system or design, like our branding in a way, is very different from theirs. So like that is the current design will is mismatched and the future design will probably still be mismatched. However, it should be
right.
updated at some point.
Yeah, I would agree with that in that it should be updated, but it'll never match and isn't
Ex
supposed to match. That's
yeah.
intentional.
Yeah, because otherwise we don't want people to by mistake think they're on the other one and getting something from there, but like it only works on one or not the other or vice versa.
Well, and not only that, our whole, I guess you could say, design language is completely different than Firefox. We're not trying to copy them. We're not adopting Nova. And we're not trying to look the same. And so our add-on site, it wouldn't make any sense to look the same either. It would just be confusing and not make any sense and be extra work on our part to try to stay in sync for no benefit.
But I
Is
mean,
there a question really more about having a modern website and not really about accessibility, or is there some accessibility element to this?
it is, I think that Adam's website in general is pretty broken. So
Oh, I
it may
understand
be
that. Yeah.
a mix and match of everything. Like it just needs to be updated. It needs to a new current design. Maybe also with all of that, I wanted to like unify the design of it. But I know that it's part of the services roadmap to rebuild and modernize it. But at the moment, Thundermail is getting a bit more of like attention. And then once we get that going, we should be able, or they should be able to like get the ball rolling on that.
Yeah. And to your point, Wayne, though, reading their question, it sounds more like they just want developer effort put in a different place more than they have accessibility concerns, though I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And I'm embedded in the add-ons team some degree, so I understand what's going on there.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. So, and let's see. Unless anyone else has anything to add, then do we have a volunteer to run the next meeting?
If no one volunteers, I can't do that.
All right. And any topics to add for the agenda for next time from anyone?
Closing the loop on the accessibility statement is the only one I have, which should be on there from our discussion earlier,
Yeah.
but just in
Yeah,
case.
that's an existing one,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
definitely.
then and then Soul will probably pick up on guidelines again over the next month. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that will wrap it up for today then if we want to kill the recording.